And here's the key. There's something better than handling objections is to find the belief that's underneath the objection and to completely remove the belief. I'm always asking this question, how can we find out if this works sooner? And you could do that with ads. So instead of running a big campaign, you can run very targeted, very standardized, ugly ads to help you understand, is this going to work? So you're going to have content that's pushing people through the belief journey to here, to having the one belief that this is what I need, right? The non-slimy, most effective, easy to teach method is show them evidence. So you just find black swans. I did 89 headlines. So I wrote 89 headlines. First step, I see a visual metaphor. I'm always wondering, what are alternative, similar visual metaphors that I could test? Something that simplifies, because these metaphors help people understand things really quickly.
This is my first podcast on the channel, and I'm really happy to have someone incredible as my first guest. Jean Michel Moreau is a consultant, a solo consultant, helping SaaS founders to reach product market fit faster. I met Jean Michel a while ago, and the only thing I can tell you is that after a call with him, after our first call, my mind was completely blown away. And I needed a few days to process what I've learned. And so much so that in the next days, I dug into all of his content and I watched all his videos, checked all his ads, and I was just amazed by two things. The first thing is the method he uses to help his clients, which is very processized and very methodical to test a different message to quickly find what works. The second thing is that he's not producing content, or at least not the way we think of. He doesn't have a big YouTube channel. He doesn't do podcasts. He doesn't write newsletter. No, instead, he focuses on advertising, on creating the pieces of content that is going to push with ads to convert clients. And that allows him to focus only on delivering result for his clients. I hope you will like this conversation as much as I did. And I can tell you it is filled with gold nuggets. If you are a SaaS founder and you want to understand how you can use ads to grow your product, or if you are in the service industry and you want to understand how you can fill your pipeline consistently. So enough talk. I let you enjoy the show. I am really excited to dig into your system, your acquisition system, because I have to say I've never seen anything like it before. And I might not have told you before, but I quite dug into it with the Facebook ad library, and I really tried to understand your thought process, what goes before what, and all the order.
Mhm.
So before we dive into it, can you tell us a little bit what you do, who you serve, and how you do it?
Sure. Yeah. So I run rapid product growth, and what we are is a partner for B2B SaaS companies, especially if you're around 1 or 2 million ARR and you're looking to double. That's a point where companies often, they've already proven product market fit, but they need more systematic marketing to grow to the next level. So I partner with CEOs and founders of those size companies and help them double. I also do work with SaaS founders, like earlier stage startups, just because it's a special love of mine, startups in general. And so I provide consulting, like how do you get started? How do you validate your concepts? Basically, how do you get your marketing working?
Well, I have to say that your positioning is crystal clear.
Great.
It starts like you can say it in one shot. It's a really good positioning, and I think it's very hard to get there. It's a lot of work just to get to the point that you
Yeah,
can
to get
exactly
something
say,
clear.
yeah.
Mhm.
So that already helps for the how do you acquire customers basically
Exactly.
as
Yeah.
a
You
consultant.
don't want it to be confusing for people, like, is this for me? Because no one's doing that thinking. You've got to do that's a key marketing skill is you
Well,
do the thinking
yeah,
for the people. They can't.
yeah,
Um, yes.
yeah. There is absolutely no doubt, and in your funnel, no doubt about uh, a SaaS founders, a SaaS founder, what do they want to achieve, and the fact that you can do it for them. So
Yeah.
now that we know so what you do for your target customer, tell us, tell me. Yeah, I will say tell me because tell us it's really weird. It feels like I'm a big
Yeah.
podcast. Come on, just a conversation. Let's let's chill out a little bit.
We want to
Uh,
know.
yeah, we want to know. No, actually, it's just me because I'm so curious. So yeah,
Yeah.
tell me, how do you acquire them in
My people. How do I
globally, and
acquire
then we will
my
do
customers?
your customer.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I can tell you how I acquire my customer. One little aside before we get into that is that um, with business in general, what's appropriate changes at each stage. And I think this is why it's really confusing because we go and you can go and look what are huge companies doing or really successful people and you see what they're doing right now. And usually that is 100% not what you should be doing. You should be doing in fact, I think there's a newsletter on this that we should look up. I forget who it is, but it's
I will see.
be doing what they did when they started, not what they're doing now. Yeah, so it just depends on what, stage you are and what's your cash flow and kind of risk profile. There's so many ways to solve this problem. When I started my business, I wanted not to grind. I wanted to be really, really maximize leverage. And so that's why I went directly with, paid advertisement and reverse organic because it's the most time efficient. It's the most leveraged choice you can make. The downside with leverage is if you make a bad move, your bad ideas are multiplied, right? So it costs you money. You leverage your bad ideas as well. So that's why testing is so key. But so how do I acquire my customers? It's really simple. I run a very simple ebook funnel. So I'm offering, a guide for solving a common problem that people have in SaaS around user acquisition. People sign up for the guide. They give me also their phone number as well. I call them and see if they want more help. And that's more or less it. It's very, very, very simple. Um, and now that I'm at the stage this stage of the business, I'm pivoting to another funnel. So this funnel was great as like a getting started. And now that I have, I can have 2, 3 sales calls a day. I would like to have them all be qualified and ready to move forward. Um, because the current funnel doesn't optimize for super qualified leads. It just optimizes for let's start the lead flow, and that kind of gets the business going, and then you can start using the information that you learn to get more specific.
Okay, I think the key word that you used is
Yes,
reverse organic. And that is
yes,
something I've never heard about, although I know what you mean by that. And I think this is the where I would like us to go because uh, that's what blew my mind. Maybe if you're okay with that, I can try to describe what I've understood from your funnel, and then you
please,
can iterate on. So
yeah,
basically, you take okay, you serve SaaS founders and they want growth, and you know them so well that you know every pain point that they have, every frustration, and you know how hard is their life when they don't have the growth that they want. And there, you also know that they are they are skeptical about marketing gurus and marketing tactics, and you mapped out all of that to kind of create different touch points to make them believe that you deliver result. To go
yes,
through to bring them through a journey, so they go from I'm completely skeptical to I have seen enough of Jean Michel, so I know that he can help. Cool thing is that you also deliver result, which is a very
yeah. That
good thing
helps.
if you want to
That
build
does
a
help.
business, right? But the very
Yes,
hard part, even if you can deliver result, if you can't make people believe that you will give them the result, then you don't have a business. But what you
Exactly.
did is to create this kind of journey for them in bit-sized, small, like 2 minute, 10 minute videos pushed with paid ads on meta ads.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes,
You can
that's
go ahead.
right.
If you,
That's
okay,
right.
I
Yeah,
got it.
that's 100% right. And to get, and I help clients do this as well because basically everybody's skeptical about everything. And I think the skepticism is going to increase. We're living in the age of AI. There's all these, especially in SaaS, right? There's no code tools. How do you know that someone didn't just slap this thing together and it actually works and it's not going to ruin your business? It's actually a big risk to try a new SaaS, and there's so many popping up. It's easy to make a web page. So I think this issue of customers not believing, affects my customers, but I think it affects everybody right now more than ever before with AI, making it too
Yeah.
easy to start stuff and not deliver. And I know this is also what people are skeptical in marketing. Everybody read Alex Hormozy and decided to make a huge guarantee, and that worked for a while until
Yeah.
the market realized, wow, these kids
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing. So the way you do this, it's really simple. You take you map out your ICP, you map out your ideal customer, and it's really critical that you look at their objections. So if you already have sales calls or demos for your SaaS business, you map out every single objection. And here's the key. There's something better than handling objections is to find the belief that's underneath the objection and to completely remove the belief. And so what I do is I map what's the sequence of beliefs that you would go through in order to come to the conclusion that Jean Michel, that rapid product growth is the key to unlock growth, the next level of growth in your business, um, and that it's the most systematic, the most low risk way to do it. That's our positioning. So how do you go from internet marketers are terrible, you know, to, this company is going to help me get to the next stage. And so there's a sequence of beliefs. Just map out all of them and kind of rank them in order. Um, uh, maybe on the far one side, it's,
Could
I
you,
don't need any
sorry.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could you give us like a 2 or 3 example of obvious beliefs to make it clear?
obvious beliefs. Sure. So um, obvious beliefs that let's just talk about SaaS founders because that's my
That's the
area.
one.
Yeah. So a lot of them are thinking that SEO is the safest way to go. That if you need to go and get growth and you're not sure about cash flow for ads, people think ads are risky. The unit economics might not work. Okay, you should definitely do it SEO. This is a common belief.
Mhm.
And so I don't want that is not a belief of my ideal customer that I should go with SEO. I don't do SEO. I'm not a big fan. I mean, it's great. It's like planting trees. It's definitely a good idea to do it, but it's very slow. Um, so so what do I do to counter this? Instead of trying to make a logical argument or do something very flashy, I like to just show evidence to the contrary, like a real life evidence. And that's the easiest way to change the belief. So just to show, here's stories of founders that failed with SEO. Here is, actual factual data about, it takes like 18 months to get an SEO program off the ground. Um, so I could show studies by like, even SEO people showing this. I could show data about current risks to SEO, given that people are moving to like Reddit and Chat GPT to find their information. So I can just show that and make videos and content that are really easily digestible. And what that does is that just moves someone down the belief ladder. Like, oh, SEO isn't the right way. And maybe they have several other beliefs that are blocking them to get to the point of, hey, this is the way to go.
All right. Yeah, totally makes sense. And I guess that the more you do that, you start with a few that you kind of guess or know already if it's your audience, and the more you run this kind of acquisition system, the more you learn about your customer and you find new beliefs that you can add along the way, always adding like a
Yeah,
little piece to your puzzle, and gets better and better the more you do it.
exactly. Yeah, it's a bit of a growth loop. Once you the demos, the sales calls, the conversations that you're having, you're learning about, whatever was getting in the way of the person you last talked to. There's your content calendar for the week. Make some belief shifting, show them. So instead of it's all about leverage. Everything I'm trying to do is maximum leverage. So instead of trying to counter someone's objection or deal with one person's belief, if somebody shows me evidence, hey, this is existing in the market, I want to hit everyone. How can I maximize the effort to explain why this isn't so or show contrary evidence?
Right. So just to step back a little bit and
Yeah.
to organize, you never create content that you don't push with ads. Is that correct?
Uh, that is not correct, just because
Ah,
I don't have enough cash to boost it everywhere. So
okay.
eventually I will.
Okay.
Eventually I will. So I have, my key platforms, where basically I have the best performance. So at the scale that I'm at, I run this, boosted kind of reverse organic play on those platforms. Everywhere else, I just cross post it organic, and
Okay.
it does some
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah. But
people find me on LinkedIn or they find me on YouTube. Um, but the only places where I boost posts are YouTube and um, Meta.
all right. The but I think it's fascinating because there are so many people, me included, in the hamster wheel hamster wheel of content creation, and then there is something quite awful is that when when you create spend time creating content about something, sometimes it feels like I've done it already. So what's next? What's the next idea?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
you have to come up with new things all the time, and but in the end, they are not optimized to convert. When your
That's
approach
right.
is different, it's like, okay, if I have like 5 pieces of content, that's all I'm allowed to do. What
Yeah.
should they do? Should they be so with these 5 pieces of content, I can convert clients at scale. And maybe
Yes.
you have trial and error, but in the end, you push like 5 to 10 pieces of content, and those are the only one you actually need. But to get there,
Yeah.
you have
Do a lot of work.
to be courageous enough also to to start running ads on that and not seeing a result for a long time. And I know that you told me a little bit about
Ah,
that already,
not exactly. Not
the
exactly.
beginning.
Yeah, at the very beginning. Well, I would say like, you know, um, my business and who I serve, it's a slightly different idea. But basically, I like to run a very simple growth loop. So, in general, I like to start with cold email is a great way because it's low cost per user, low cost per call. That's going to get you calls and demos. That's going to get you revenue. Revenue is going to help you run paid ads. Paid ads gets you extremely efficient market data going back to the email, and so it's and the ads. So it's a loop where it just starts to compound and compound. And the question is like, how do you start? So um, a great way to start is how can we get quicker feedback? That's the problem. You don't want to start a campaign and then let's see what happens. That's the exact opposite of what I'm a proponent of. I want to get data tomorrow. I'm always asking this question, how can we find out if this works sooner? It's a great question, and I learned this running moonshot programs. There might be some high risk idea and somebody has a complex big thing, and the question we're always asking is, well, can we figure out if this works tomorrow? And usually in order to figure out if something works tomorrow, you can't do it at the same scale. You can't run a huge department program in a day. So you have to find ways to get proxy data faster, and you could do that with ads. So instead of running a big campaign, you can run very targeted, very standardized, ugly ads to help you understand, is this going to work? And those you can run very quick, very cheaply, and just see, look, people want to click on these words. It's a huge, signal that, okay, that's the direction that the next step should go in.
Okay, so that's basically. I know what you do, so for me it's more clear. But I'm doing
Yeah.
I'm maybe not doing the best job for my first leading
Let's
conversation, but we will get
let's
there.
break it down.
So
Yeah.
what you're saying is that if you start from the beginning and you want to acquire a client, for example, as an independent, as a consultant, or even as a coach, the easy way to start would be for example, for you, cold email. Can't do it as a coach, obviously, but as a consultant, you can do cold email. That gives you the revenue so you can start generating ads the way we described before. But there is something in between those is that once you start having revenue from your cold email campaign and you want to create your first campaign, you also want to create the first campaign in the best way as possible. And for that, what you described right now is that you are also using the same service as you provide for your customers and the SaaS founders is the rapid testing method.
Yeah.
And then once you have the data that tells you, okay, that's the message I need to push with my ads, then you start scaling the budget and creating the content that fits to what you found on the with this approach. Is that correct?
100%. That's exactly it. Yeah.
So
Get yourself to a point where you have revenue to invest in ads. And then the next step isn't like launch a campaign. The next step is extremely targeted, tiny tests, very cheap tests, a large number of very cheap tests to isolate everything you've thought so far. I mean, another way to look at it is the fidelity level of your feedback, right? So cheap ad tests are kind of like lo-fi. You get some data, you're like, wow, maybe you have 100 ideas. Usually if you have 100 ideas, but you have a bunch of 30% will not be good. You'll get some mediocre ones, a lot of mediocres, and then you'll get 3 things that massively outperform the others. And this gives you an indication. People are very interested in those 3 concepts. Over all the other ways I could have described this, these 3 get a market response. But it's limited. It's lo-fi, right? All you know is that got a click. You didn't know, did it get a purchase? All these other steps. So, every time you get data, you kind of increase the fidelity, the risk, the cost, the intensity of the experiment. So start with something very low. Eventually, you get to the point where, okay, we're going to modify our demo script, or we're going to modify the sales process at this point. And that's a bigger, that's a bigger change to make. But so at each step, you're going to increase the test.
efficiency.
I don't know how to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like little bets versus bigger bets. Once you get more data, you can make a really big bet about something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That
Like
makes
I was
sense.
looking at my business. I think I've had in the last year about 100 sales calls.
Wow.
I have a very good idea now. Like I've also run all these tests, and that helped me get the calls efficiently. I have I have a fantastic cost per call. So those tests let me have the calls. But right now, where's my thinking coming from? It's from real conversations with actual SaaS CEOs. That's much more valuable than you kind of mix them together. But talking to people is really the key to starting any business or
Totally
growing
makes
it.
sense. Totally makes
Yeah,
sense. Would you mind showing me the inside?
sure.
Maybe what would be
Yeah.
cool is to look at the testing method to start with at
Hmm.
first. I've seen on some of your content like maybe you have a prototype how you test an idea, and
Hmm.
then so that's the very first step, the rapid testing method, and then after if we can have a look at the general structure of a campaign or different campaign,
Sure.
how you structure your video to create this customer journey that we talked about. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. And so I could think of 2 ways I could do this. One is we could go look and dive through specifics. The other is I could pop open Excalidraw and try to draw it, which might be easier to understand than like me clicking through
That is
Ads
totally
Manager.
my style.
Okay.
Let's go for next Excalibur first, and maybe we can later have a look or not. But
Okay.
Excalibur would make things easier, and maybe we should have started by that actually.
Okay. So let's see. What am I trying to? So you would like to know the whole system, and I'm going to try to do it like high level, and then we'll go into one
Yeah.
zoom in. But you gotta just jump in with questions because
Yeah. Okay.
otherwise
Yeah,
I
I know
will
what it
give
is
you a
to
15-minute monologue here.
yeah, but I'm okay with that. But I want all the questions.
Okay, so here we have. Okay, where do we start? Because I could start from you have. Do we start from no customers and we're growing from zero, or are we starting from you have a business and now you want to level up? Where are we
I think
kind of
uh, I think if you start from zero customers,
zero
as you
customers?
explained,
Okay,
zero
okay,
customers. No. But what
totally.
I mean is that you
Yeah,
then you have cold emails, and that's not the topic of this conversation. We really want to understand how to tackle
the
Facebook
ads.
ads, Meta ads,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
well, as an independent for service business,
For service.
and
Okay.
maybe we can start with uh, the rapid testing method just
Yeah.
to see approximately what it does. So that's the very beginning. And then,
Yes.
okay, now that I understand my customer, how do I proceed? So like those two major parts would be awesome.
Okay. Actually, I have a flowchart for this. Maybe I should pull that open. So, all right. So, first of all, if you have no customers and and you're like starting from zero, then you need to contact everyone you've ever met in your whole life and reach out to them and just do everything in your power to get a conversation going. So the easiest way to do that I've ever found is not to ask all your friends for business because that feels weird, can seem difficult. So I would recommend you reach out for referrals. You say, hey, I'm starting this business, big change in my life, want to tell you about it. Is there anyone you know? And then if they are a fit, they'll tell you. Otherwise, maybe you'll find a referral. So that would be kind of step one, like everyone
Okay.
you know. If you've been alive for a while, you probably know maybe a few thousand people. So you can, reach out to every LinkedIn person, everyone in your phone. That's kind of the from absolute zero, bootstrapping. And that should get you a customer, which gives you a lot of information because trying to help one person, you'll have a much clearer point of view than some kind of theoretical business idea. So that would be step one. And then once you've done that, let's talk about how would you take everything you've learned from that one customer and turn it into a customer acquisition system. So the first step is just mapping out the customer and the beliefs like we talked about. So
Okay.
let's see, can I highlight all over it? Yes. Okay. So the first thing is really getting in touch with who you're talking about and getting super specific. Um, it's easy to start a business now, and there are 1,000 competitors, and it's so much easier. Your marketing job becomes really easy when you focus on a single specific person, one person. So, um, hopefully, a real individual that you could help that's like this. It could be related to your first customer. And if you don't feel comfortable, what you can do is pick something for today. That's always a big problem people find is like, well, it's not, I don't want exactly them. I want them with more revenue or whatever. Um, uh, get out of here. Okay, is this working? Yeah, kind of. How do I
Yeah.
make this a
I
more
see
beautiful
I
color?
see it.
Okay. So yeah, so pick somebody for today. Then the really key thing is to work on, what are their pain points and how does that relate to your offer? That's probably the most important thing about this is knowing how the a specific person's actual pain has any connection to what you do. That's like the most important thing. If you were to do nothing else, this is the most important. The
Mhm.
next thing you want to know, if you can, that really gives you a massive leg up, is not only to look at their functional jobs to be done, but look at their emotional jobs to be done. When you're trying to outcompete other people, empathy is a secret tactic. If you actually understand what somebody has to go through and you're able to show that, it's way easier to pick you as a provider. I talk to people all the time, like, oh, we're talking different marketing agencies, but we feel like you get us, and that's because I actually do. And the way you want to show that in your marketing. So if you know the emotional jobs to be done, like the secret difficult things that you have to deal with that are an emotional part of your job, if you're able to show that in all your content or be sure that you know it, this is a massive win in your marketing. So for me, for example, it's different emotional jobs for, say, a SaaS founder at 2 million versus a startup SaaS founder. Like a startup SaaS founder, maybe they have to go all in. They have to realize, like, yeah, I can't do this just programming. Or they have to realize I can't be a product guy anymore. Somebody has to
Mm.
use the app to make money. I have to actually run a company. It's a different job than getting excited about a dream, knowing how to build it for a technical founder, right?
Yeah,
For a
totally.
somebody at 2 million, it might be, you know what, I have to realize that just having my favorite business development guy drum up new business isn't going to work. Like I can't find people and train them at the rate that I need to if I'm actually going to scale to 5, 10 million. So there's different emotional jobs. If you're able to express that, it's a huge leg up. Okay, so these will be the key points. And then, like I said before, this is that belief journey. So you're like, okay, maybe they have this belief one, and we got to get to uh, finally believing that this is the best way to go forward. That this product is the key to what I want. So you're going to have content that's pushing people through the belief journey to here, to having the one belief that this is what I need, right? And like I said earlier, the way you change these beliefs is you say, okay, they have, false, let's just call this false belief 2.
Mhm.
I'm going to replace this with, to be ethical, it has to be true. You know what I mean? You can't just
Of
scare
course.
people. That won't work over time. So it has to be an actual true belief, something that's true that we want them to believe instead. And how do you get them to do that? Well, the non slimy, most effective, easy to teach method is show them evidence. So you just find black swans. That's what I call them. So, black swans, if you never believed that there was a black swan, you went to swan school, you have a swan degree, and you know there's only white swans, I could argue with you or I could just show you one, right? So that's basically the idea. So we just show them evidence, and that's how you move people along this belief journey. So this is the beginning, is just
So
mapping this out.
just for the breaking beliefs,
Mhm.
showing evidence is the only way, or have you found that you can also do that with a very well written or said message?
Yeah, it's just there's a million ways to get somebody to believe something. But what can teach at scale to clients that I feel good about? And this is it. Just showing evidence is very easy
Mm.
for to show another marketing team how to do this, or have staff find specific evidence and scale this system, and it's very effective. There's lots of persuasion tactics, but this avoids needing to learn persuasion. It's just kind of simple.
That's true, indeed, because not everybody is a copywriter, and I think
Yeah.
it's also when we say showing evidence, it's very closely related to testimonials. Here's someone I helped that was in this specific situation. Look now where he is. Um, but it could also be different. Could also be like use cases that are not from you. Basically, just this is what happened. I just show you a
Yeah.
transformation to someone that tried something. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and there's all different kinds of lenses that people respond to. So you could tell a story of a person that had this situation. You could show data. You could show something that's kind of aspirational about, where you want to get to. There's all different kinds of like lenses on this, but in the end, it's the thing that feeds it is evidence.
All right.
So this
Sorry.
kind of provides the starting point for my methodology. And I like to map out what do I know versus guesses. And that really helps the testing. So having, I know things from ads testing, I know things from conversations, and other things I think, I think it's true. And this was very true for me, for example, mapping out these false beliefs. I learned that it helped me understand that actually I don't have, one customer type. I actually have maybe 3, and they have different beliefs. It's not the same. So trying to find evidence for your, assumptions here helps you clarify the overall messaging.
All right.
Okay.
So
So
that's the
that's
first step.
getting started. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Just
okay.
getting started. Easy
Just
peasy.
getting started. Yeah. And let's see. So I'll share the
Is that all right for you? Like, I'm not
Sure.
asking you too much
I
stuff.
have video. No, no, let's do it. I'm good. Um, okay, so that's there. Now the next thing, and these things here, I like to do in a workshop. I like to guide people through them because people try to they tend to avoid these tasks, and they're the most powerful tasks. And I think it's partially because it doesn't feel like anything's happening. We're just sticky notes, workshop. Maybe we're just wasting our time. Same for competitive research. A lot of people, they're like, let's get going with the ads or the email. Let's get these clients coming in. And here's the thing that is why competitive research is so valuable is your competitors have already spent, maybe depending on what industry you're in, tens of millions of dollars on bad ideas, and they're no longer using them. Right, if they're still in business. So you could start over from zero and try to discover it all yourself, or you could save a few tens of millions and just copy what or be informed by what's working today. And it's a massive accelerator to just start from having a solid map of the worldview of your customer, right? So what's all the products that's coming to them? What's their world? Who are they watching on YouTube? What are the top videos of the people they're watching? Like what's going on for them? And if you know that, well, so much easier to start writing anything that works for that customer. And I don't know why, but a lot of people want to skip this, and that's why I do it with them just to make sure it gets done
Mhm.
and kind of walk through it because it's makes everything else so much easier. So that's what we would do next. So we would look at like, 3 or 4 direct competitors, indirect competitors. What's every single product? What's every single offer? What's every single claim and proof for that claim? And really get systematic and make this grid of the competitive landscape for all these kind of components of marketing for the
Mhm.
competitors. And so then
Mhm.
once you have that, once you know like your customer, how it all maps together, the beliefs, and like their world of products that they experience, then you're ready to start testing. I had a
Now,
client that wanted to skip this a little bit, and they went through and ran a lot of tests and developed a really good ad. And then they started looking at their competitors and they said, "Oh my God, they have the same
same ad.
angle as me." And I was thinking, you could have looked that up. They saved yourself. When I was a chemist, we had this saying, uh, what was it? Oh yeah. It's that a week in the lab will save you a day in the library. And it's the same thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much a lot related of what I talk about on my YouTube channel, market
Yeah.
research, um,
Yes.
and how to find the right insights. Competitive research is still market research. It's you can look for what your potential customer is saying, thinking. You can all there are so many data available for free on the internet
Yeah.
if you know where
Yeah.
to look at, and you can save so much time but it's just hard because it's hard to know where are they, where do I start, what do I do. It's
Yeah.
That's why most of the people just skips it.
Yeah. It's a little overwhelming and you don't know if you're just
Yeah,
wasting your time. And then it's like, well, I could just start running ads.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So once you have this, then you're ready to start message testing. And basically, we're trying to, I can even break it down finer than this, but we're trying to isolate all the components of a message. And so, high level, you first start running an ad that just says, "Hey, do you have this pain point?" That's it. And you see, do people click? And if you're running a lot of different pain points to specific audiences, you'll see that it's not always what you expected. Um, and this helps you. So you can just test the concept. Is this a pain point? But then you can also test how does this person describe the pain point? Do they, what's the language they use? How do they frame it? From the outside, you might look in and think, oh, it's this. But in their worldview, they would say it differently. They would describe it differently. Maybe they would blame a different factor. You know what I mean? It would just be different. So, um, that helps you. That's the next step is just, okay, what is the number one pain? What's the number one market pain that they're experiencing? And this is where I would say a little bit of uh, there's some art to it because if you just, here's one downside of just using the data. If you just test pains, you know what will always win, given if you were to test all the possible, imagine you could test every pain market. What would always win is the most common pain, right? The most common, most painful pain, which usually doesn't relate to revenue because no matter what business you have, there's always earlier stage people. There's more earlier stage people than later stage people. There's more businesses that barely break even than are generating, 250K a year. And there's more 250K a year than 10 million. There's more 10 million than billion, right? So there's this always this distribution of problems, and the most
Mm.
valuable problems, the big problems that are worth a lot of money to solve, fewer people have them. So you have to keep this in mind when you're evaluating the data. Otherwise, the data will always bias you towards serving really, uh, what's the right word? Clients with less money, basically. If we're talking about starting a business, right? So if you were to just without thinking about, what level is this pain and run this test and just run off the data, you might go too down market.
This is
This is
such a
always true.
great insight. This is such a such
It's a good
a
one.
gold nugget. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, that's a
very
good
good
one.
one
Yeah.
because that is as a marketer, and I honestly, I mean, I would say that most of my marketing career was in e-commerce, and so you don't have this approach of, okay, I'm serving the same person but at different level. You sell a product, so you look at it
Yeah.
at an equal level, right? But in B2B, you obviously have, like, as you said, like the micro SaaS founder that is having problem related to SaaS, and the 5 million a year SaaS founder that is having different problems, but some are related. And if
This
you
works in
look at it
e-com too.
objective, I'm just finishing it. I want to know
Yeah.
how. All right. So, but I would like to understand, how do you look at it then? Because if you can't compare an ad on an equal level, like, okay, this ad has a better click-through rate than this one, because maybe this is not the best one because there are more people thinking
Yeah.
of this program. It's quite messy. How do you figure it
Yeah.
out, and how does it work in e-commerce?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is discernment, this is some skill, but at the most basic level, you would try to separate problems by tiers of business, right? So tiers of clients. So you could, in your mind or on paper or in Excel, create some tiers, 5 tiers, and give yourself objective criteria. Like, a business of this size. If we're talking about serving businesses, for example, it could be a business with certain revenue. And then you just have to ask yourself, who is the lowest, who has this problem? And you'll find that some problems are they are not like high problems for earlier stage businesses. They're really big problems for later stage. For example, exiting founder led growth is a very specific stage in your startup career. You're like, I want out. Like, I would like somebody else to do the sales. This is it's a specific stage. And that's a different stage than how do I stop managing the sales team versus how do I run an army of business development people? Those are different problems. And so if you were testing them, you're going to get um, if you were to test these pains, like how do I sell my product or my service, that will always beat how do I hire my first business development person? Or how do I exit sales? How do I
Right.
hire my first sales trainer? Um, you'll see that the rates are different. So you need to just sort of separate, and you can do that by categories and just say like, which of these is not shared in the Venn diagram and pull it out, and then
I
evaluate
think
them
you
separately.
that is easier if you talk about programs that the first years, the beginners, quote unquote, don't have. For example, how do I create my first sales team? Then a
Yeah,
beginner won't have it. So obviously, they are not included. Even if you don't call out any of the category, You just talk
Yes.
about the pain point. You know that they are from the very beginning not included, but some are common, and that's where it gets a little bit harder.
Yes. That's true. That's very true. Yeah. Okay. And then for ecom, okay. So people, um, there are different, I mean, products hit different segments of the market, right? There's high end, very luxury products, and those
Mhm.
can serve different
Yeah.
pain
Yeah. True.
points. And you could imagine within like a brand, I mean, usually brands stick with one like segment, but you could imagine there's the bigger solution. Um, like even for, I don't know, a sports drink, there's like, how do I plan, how do I do one thing versus how do I go to the gym and plan my whole week. You might sell a whole like week kit and like a gym bag, and like you're solving a bigger problem that I just want one sports drink person does not have.
Yeah, but maybe it's more related to different kind of persona that
That's true.
that could be
Yeah.
related. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it is, yeah, they could have similar problem, but you don't know which one has it. But it's not as big as the B2B perspective, though.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry,
So
I
should I
cut you
keep
with
going through
the
this long list?
yes,
Okay.
yes, please.
I'll try
And
to
if you want
speed it up
if
maybe.
you want to make it, yeah, maybe to go through the um,
High level?
how the not high level. On the contrary, I would like to when you say you create an ad,
Yeah. You
then
want to see one?
what I try to do on the channel is to make things practical. Like that
Okay.
it's like, okay, how do I do it? Where is
Yeah.
the what kind
Okay.
of ad? So if we can
Yes.
kind of go on the practical side, that would be very cool.
Okay. Should I still finish this one?
Yeah, yeah. Wait,
Okay. I'll
second.
do it quick. So, okay, the next one, I'll go into a little detail on the next one. The next one's headlines. So after you do a pains headlines, and basically you're testing every component of an ad. And why is headlines green here? It's such a versatile tool. You could use headlines to test repositioning your product, right? So you guys, I'm sure everybody knows about Loom, the website, the app Loom. When they started, they were a screen recorder, and now they're the category leaders in, we hate remote work, or sorry, we hate, sorry, we hate meetings and we love remote work. And you can test that kind of big swing in company and product positioning by just changing a headline. So it's really valuable. And we do a lot of testing of concepts with headlines. This is a great way to inform, say, cold email or email lists or ads. So this is something you come back to all the time. And then when you have an ad, you basically run it, make sure it works. This is a flow chart for earlier stage SaaS folks. So if your offer isn't proven, we would just jump into chat as a way to have more conversations to get more data and skip needing to build a page. But if it is proven, then you would work on optimizing your landing page and optimizing the economics and the upsells, which is a lot, probably too much to go into. But shall we go into how you would run one of these first tests, like the pains test?
It's tough really because I would like to go through each of them,
All
but
of
I
it,
know
yeah.
that
It's gonna
we
be like
just can't
6
do it for
hours.
6 hours. Completely exhausted.
Master class. I'll
No.
be like sweating. Yeah.
Now go ahead.
Um,
Go where you want to go.
okay. Let's
It's
do
fine. Everything
everything's cool. Let's go.
everything is good.
um okay. Let's give an example. I think the key thing though, whatever you're doing, even if you didn't have templates or you didn't use my exact method, the key is to only ever change one variable. If you only ever change one variable, it becomes much easier to make sense of the data. So um, that's that's really the core concept here is that. And practically how you run these, it's click testing. So we're going to run traffic objective, and we're not going to evaluate anything post click. We're just going to see who clicked on what. And if our ads are
Mhm.
extremely standardized and we're only changing one variable, then you can just think about that variable. So my exact template is not that important. Okay. Maximum. So we'll go into Ads Manager. I'll just show you some examples. I'm doing this all the time, of course. Are we in Ads Manager?
Yeah.
Okay. So, um, let's see. Here's message testing. So you see, I've got 83 ad sets here of testing different messages. And so this is me pre-work to build my own, a second funnel for a different type of SaaS client. And so I've run a lot of headlines. So here are, a lot, a lot of
Indeed.
headlines that I ran tests for. Okay. So we can do this, sure. So what did I do? I did 89 headlines. So I wrote 89 headlines, first step. And then I ran them all as traffic objective. And the details don't really matter, but I put in some rules to make sure that they stop after about 400 or 500 clicks.
Yeah.
There's more rules in there to save money,
Thanks.
but that's the clicks. Yeah. Impressions. I meant to say
Impression, yeah.
yeah, that would have been more expensive.
It doesn't correlate with the budget. I was like,
Yes.
wow, that's very performing ad.
Yeah. Sorry. No, impressions. Yeah. So I spent 250 Canadian dollars. So I don't know what that is in real
Mm-hmm.
dollars. But it's less. um, okay. And so how do we evaluate these? I'll just give you an example, and I'll come back to that. Is this a high level problem or not? So I'm just going to sort these by click through rate. Ideally, I would do like unique outbound click through rate, but whatever. Click through rate. Okay, so let's look at the top 3. We could also look at the worst ones, and you'll say, oh, these are worse. So these are headlines tests. So what do we got here? We have demo to close rate dropping at scale. I believe this is what I'm actually running in a funnel right now that I'm working on right now. So I have behind the scenes, I have my targeting settings. And then I also have, this in here to help further make people ignore it. They're like, I'm B2C, or I'm not SaaS, or whatever. Or I'm go high level and I'm confused. So, and then this is just basically a giant headline. There's nothing going on here except that.
Sure.
And as long as I run other ads just like this, I can compare the headline, because that's the only changing variable. That's the principle. It's just we're doing a little bit of like a scientific test. There's a lot of confounding variables, but we try to minimize those. So let's look at some other results. Do you have the symptoms of poor pipeline conversion? Do you? Have you asked your doctor? So this one, not quite as good. I can't say why. Okay, so let's keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. I think this is pretty good. I might also run this one. A single pipeline test that earned a 2 million ARR SaaS company 50 demos. I have those. There are those. And this is a good headline. What I don't like about this headline is it's a bit curiosity driven. It's not like it's lower intent. You don't have to have a business that's doing extremely well and want to scale in order to click on this. It's like, well, I want to know that test. I'm thinking maybe I'll start a SaaS business next year. I got to know this in advance. I could get those clicks as well. And so this is how you could say, and we didn't go over this, but the intent level of this curiosity driven headline is lower. So it makes a less efficient ad. If I were to guess, let's do another one. Sales cycle length killing your growth rate. Close deals faster with 24-hour fee. Okay, this one also did well. I'm not going to use this one because I don't focus on sales cycle length. I don't know why I wrote this. I do sales enablement. Sales cycle length's a little harder to fix. And so I don't want people with this problem because it's not my exact specialty. Okay, so let's look at some terrible ones. Is this making sense?
It does. And it's really great to see it in action. I'm to be honest,
very
I'm
bad.
holding a lot of question not to have us for 6 hours in a row. I would
Yeah.
like to ask you about, but do you use broad targeting? Do you, traffic objective, where do you send them? I would like to go so much deeper, but we have to keep it at a certain...
We can, but like the core principle is just change one variable.
Yeah.
If you're doing
Yeah.
that, you can start to, you can do this. You can start to take whatever you're doing today and change one variable and
One
see, or
variable.
isolate one variable like we're doing here, and start to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Um, and the key, I mean, there's lots of keys to save money, but the number one is use click traffic to get this kind of data because that's cheaper. That's like 90% of the technical part of it. Now, here's another one. Isn't this interesting? Double your demo pipeline in 90 days, or we work for free. Isn't that interesting? It's a killer
Sounds like
offer,
Alex
right?
Hormozy, though. Sounds like
And
Alex Hormozy, amazing guarantee.
yes, amazing guarantee. And here's what I believe. I think in my particular market doesn't trust marketers. We're talking about, professionals. They went to Harvard, MIT. They have, or they're I've talked to a lot of founders for some reason doing successful SaaS businesses. They were in the military, and that's where they learned leadership. And then they see like kids in a white shirt being, telling them, I'm going to get you 1,000 leads, or I work for, they see all these flashy commercials with, what looks to them to be like children. And they're like, what is no, they don't believe it at all. And I think because of Hormozy influence, this doesn't work anymore. This kind of thing is a bad
Mm.
signal for my audience. Not everybody, but for B2B SaaS founders, making serious technology, that they don't need that. So it's interesting that this also does poorly. Okay. I don't know. That's it. There you go.
Yeah, that's that. No, that's very interesting. Both the performing and the not performing. So now, if we take another, if we zoom out, that is
Mhm.
the first step that you are doing right now because you are kind of creating a new funnel, modifying a little bit your offer to touch another type of clients at a
Yeah.
higher level. But this is the exact same step that someone would start in the service business, but also with any SaaS business, basically. Because
Yeah.
SaaS
Yeah.
is a service as well. Um, so someone starting out, that is the first step, running ads with an offer.
Yes.
Isolating variables, testing them one by one until we gather enough data that we know exactly what touches people, what works.
Yes.
And then we can start thinking of, okay, now that I know that about my customer, my potential future customers, how do I create the reverse organic system, pieces of
Oh,
content that
yes.
is going
Okay.
to break
Yes.
their beliefs?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'll show you that for sure. And I have to say, a lot of marketers do reverse organic. And so I have a system that works at my scale. I think I have like, I don't know, 15 videos. I do know companies, I know some of my friends that are spending, few thousand a day in ads. They have like 100 videos and then they are organized so that you can actually tell the platforms to show them in a certain order. So after you've seen video one, show them video two. And they have like completely mapped this belief sequence that we looked at earlier, so that
Yeah.
they're really like if you didn't like that one, they're going to get you the next one and push you along. And but yeah, I mean, the key, this all comes back to some things probably everybody knows, that you need lots of touch points, lots of hours to feel like working with somebody, especially if you're a consultant or a coach. Um, it's different than buying a pizza. Everyone knows what a pizza is, it doesn't take a whole lot to convince you. Whereas, this is like, who is this person? Can they really help me? You have a lot of skepticism and you can counter this again with these videos. So here are some videos. Um, yeah. Do you want to see how to do it, or what are we? Let's go.
As long as you are still good, still okay,
Yeah.
then go
Yeah.
for it. If you feel that
Okay.
we can bring it, we should bring that to an end. It's totally fine. It's been an hour already, so it's totally
Yeah.
fine. But here we get
This is
we
great.
get
This
to
is usually,
the.
yeah.
I love it. I mean, this is here we get to the point that I'm really
Yeah.
excited about.
The
It's like
meat.
the meat, like how do you
Yeah.
structure it? So I know
Yeah.
the marketing message, but I know the frequency cap. Um, uh, method to show them one by one, or you can use
Yeah.
video views and say,
Yeah.
okay, only show to the ones that I've seen at a certain reach certain point by video, then show them the next one. But I'm really curious to know how you do that, how you create this series,
Yeah.
what are you optimizing for, um,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Let's look. It's so simple. It's really simple. Um, okay, sure. So first of all, again, trying to get a lot of touch points, and I'm trying to get some variety in there. So one, I have kind of two systems going. One is I frequently boost posts. I'm trying to get more value content in
Wow.
front of people that's different. So I have my system of belief stuff that's running all the time. But then here and there, if I write an email, I'm like, well, then I'll put it. Then it's a LinkedIn post, and it's a Facebook post, and then it's an Instagram reel. It's all gets distributed, and I push it to the feeds. So we could see, where does it say boosted content. So
Interesting.
da, 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 da. Okay, so here's like a video I did. So
Zero of constraint.
it's just a video on the theory of constraints, because that works for my specific audience. I don't know who's
No,
interested in that.
I talked about the theory of constraint in one of my first videos, actually.
Yeah. This is why. This is why we
This is really,
like
really
each other.
nerdy. Really nerdy. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, then here's a post that was inspired by Grace Levers. I actually met her copywriter later on, so now I know who was writing for Grace for these. But Grace Lever runs Outsourced Doers. It's another marketing. They do like they place VAs, and it's another $10 million
Okay.
internet business. But yeah, so it's like it's a huge post, right? It's this huge long thing, and this is how I put that in people's feed. And when you looked at it, it does not look like an ad, because it's not. It doesn't have a button. There's no buy stuff. I'm just trying to show up and have another touch point. So this is not direct response marketing here. I'm not trying to get a response, although I can, in aggregate, look at all these costs, bake them in, and see if it's improved things. So it is measurable, but it's not easily directly measurable. I can't say, like, did this Grace Levers post do anything? Because it didn't sell anything. I didn't, there's no CTA.
Yeah, it's kind of a bonus. It has an impact for the people that see it, and I guess that you are pushing that to the people that are already in your funnel. If I would guess, not to
Yes.
anyone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So it has an impact. What's the percentage of budget you dedicate on
Yeah.
average to
Here's how I do
boosting
these.
posts?
It's what do we got here? Grace Lever story post. Wow. Apparently I was really motivated on that one. Usually I do $10 over a few days. For this one, I
Ah,
did $30. I don't know why. I don't know why anymore. And yeah, it's I'm going towards people who engaged with my videos, who watched certain
wow.
percentages of them. And basically, I'm trying to get people who watch like 50 seconds or more of my videos, basically. So I have these different percentages. I always do standard video lengths, so that it's a kind of, if you watch 50 seconds, that in internet time, it's kind of like dog time, dog years. It's forever. If you if you watched
Sure.
past the intro, then
Yeah,
you are in my world. Why would you care about theory of constraints for 50 seconds on, when you're scrolling? You're one of my
yeah.
people. So this is how I find my folks that, if it's really short, it's long, bigger percentage. People went to my website, people who booked a call with me since September, or if you are in my email list. So these are all if you're interacting with me at all, have some content.
You get all the content. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So those are the
Totally.
kind of boosted things. And then I also put videos out top of funnel. So I'm running different videos that might be interesting to top of funnel people. In fact, am I running one right now? Whoop. Okay, time to change it. Busted.
How
Uh,
treats you reached the limit, but that's okay.
this one is done. Okay, hold on. Let's turn this off while we're here. Okay, so I need another one there. So, okay, so yeah, there's these different. Hopefully, they're not so embarrassing as that. Oh, just that one. Okay. So yeah, so I'm running different videos, and yeah, I've had a couple of weeks working on another funnel, but normally I'm doing about a video a day, and uh, when it's time, I put another one up here, and I'm evaluating basically the cost to retarget them. And because I'm doing the same video lengths, I'm looking at the cost per 25% video view. For me, this is like the cost to retarget them with this content. So this is how I evaluate. And I'm looking like, okay, what, I got some good ones in here, but it's hard to always perform at this level. So you could see like, man, people really liked this one, but on average for me, it costs about 25 cents, somewhere under a dollar to retarget people. And this is how I evaluate my
Okay.
concepts. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to send super niche content that's only interesting to my exact avatar. And then I'm asking, how much does it cost to retarget the people that watch my videos? As long as there's always niche content, this method will help me make better videos. So I'm always looking at the angle and comparing the costs.
That's really interesting. So your top of funnel is only always optimized for video views because you don't even need a conversion optimized campaign or something happening on your website because the simple fact that someone watches a part of your video qualifies them as a potential customer. And when you say the cost for me to retarget them is like, for example, the one that is selected right now, you have like cost per 25% video views. It's 51 cents. It's the cost
Yeah.
for you to bring someone in your ecosystem. And
Yes.
then you push them everything you have in your middle of funnel,
Yeah.
right?
That's it. Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's cool. And but I guess there is a point where you also bring them out because otherwise you're because I think
No,
it is
I
true,
don't.
that
I
it's
don't. It's
don't.
it's 1 year of data. So if you didn't do anything else for a year, you're out. The
Hmm.
platform saves data for a year.
Yeah.
So I have a year to convert you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
This isn't
yeah.
my
Okay.
primary acquisition system. It's just sort of like icing on the cake here. Um, my primary is more expensive, right? It's just cold traffic to that top 3% of the market that's going to buy. And this is helping bring in more. And it's also helping fill the holes in the funnel and helps with sales, right? If I'm sending these videos, um, then it might bring in some people, but it might also help convert somebody that was on the fence before our call. They'll see some of my videos and think, oh, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about.
Hmm. So
Yeah,
sorry, you want me to go
go for it.
ahead?
Yeah, no.
If you break down in different blocks, the organization is like you have on one side the bonus. No, not. Let's go back. You have on the very top only video views.
I have video views and conversion objective, which we
You
didn't look
still
at.
use that. That's
Yeah,
what
and
you
that's
said
where I
just
spend
before,
all the
and
money.
I was
Yeah,
okay.
that's where all the money goes. Yeah. This
Can
is
we go?
plugging the holes. Yeah, you want to look at that? Sure. Yeah, we can look at it. So, okay, the value videos. Oh, well, finally, if we're continuing the logic of video, so I've got the top of funnel video that we just saw. So then I have middle of funnel, right? I also have middle of funnel videos that are pushing you to schedule a call. This is pushing you. Don't look at my landing page. Please actually schedule a call. And this is how I can put a value on this difficult non-direct response stuff because I can look at my cost per book call here. Where is it? What am I on video? Oh, I can look at my cost per book call and it's $52. And you should know that this is
Oh,
very good. 52 bucks. Um,
that's crazy.
yeah. So this is how I can put a value on that because I take that number and then I just bake in the other hard to quantify stuff and it makes the number a little bit more expensive. And that's kind of how I look at it. I'm like, okay, this plus the other fuzzy non-direct response. If I bake it all in together, what's my cost per call with that system? Really good. Okay, keep going. It's making
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, yeah, 50+ per call. There are like some campaigns that are quite insane. Yeah.
Yeah,
On that
it's
side, sorry.
it's it's working. So, okay, and then you wanna look at, actual like, where do I get the bulk of my leads? I've
Yeah.
actually scaled this down, so this was doing, a little bit higher, was doing, I think, 250 a day, which is not that honestly, not that much. But, I scaled it down because now I'm switching to another funnel, and I need budget for testing and optimizing the funnel.
Mhm.
But yeah, so what is this at? This is like scaled down to what? 160 a day. Um, this is where I'm doing, and it's just different nice ads of mine that have performed well. So I'm always testing ads individually, again, trying to isolate variables. And then the ones that win, I put them in this scaled campaign because they're already proven. Um, there's no question there. And what are we doing here? According to Facebook, we're at $21 a lead for, B2B SaaS CEOs. I think that's pretty good. And yeah, do you want to see the ads?
You can go for it. I was wondering. So in this case, it's a website lead conversion. So you
Yeah,
basically want someone to watch the video, click, go on your website, download the resource. That's the only
exactly. Yeah.
conversion you want. You on
Yeah.
you on the part of the people that you bring on conversations is not uh, on this part of your funnel, right? Sorry,
Well,
what?
the funnel, I send them to a website, and then they put in their information, and then the subsequent funnel page is, "Would you like to book a call?"
Hmm, okay.
So yeah, these also generate calls too. So yeah, so here's an image that tested really well. This is actually done by a pretty popular artist. So I'm licensing his art to do this ad. Um,
Really?
and
Oh.
yep, yeah, he's great. He's got all kinds of cool, and I just found that his art gets shared virally a ton. And
Mm.
so when scrolling, strategic doom scrolling on Facebook, I discovered I'm like, oh, this is getting enormous shares. Um, I reached out to the artist and said, hey, can I license this and mess with it? And they said sure. And so that's how and then I had to test it, and it worked. So yeah, so here is one ad. Um, and we've got here's another thing I really like. Um, so it's how fast do you need SaaS users? And it's kind of see a visual metaphor. I'm always wondering what are alternative, similar visual metaphors that I could test. If you see a great sketch or a great, something that simplifies, because these metaphors help people understand things really quickly. And if you want
Mhm.
to if you see something that's working, you can ask yourself, what's another similar, a simile of that visual metaphor? And you can come up with many things which may perform well. So I tested,
Actually, ChatGPT helps a
airplanes.
lot for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Very good for that.
Um, yeah. And then reels, of course.
All
I
right.
should have. Yeah. Yeah. So there we go. That's what's driving the majority of my leads.
Well done.
Okay.
That's a good one. Thank you for that, Jean Michel.
You're welcome.
As I said several times, I'm really holding myself to to not ask for the more nitty gritty. But I think no one
Yeah.
would be interested, and then at some point you will be probably bored. But I'm already really happy, on a personal point of view, to have learned a lot in this conversation. So it's yeah, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Steph. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Can you share where people can find you?
If you want to get a hold of me personally, the best place is on Instagram. So just at Jean Michel Think. So you can put it in the show notes, but that's the best place to find me.
I will on Instagram. All right, that's noted. So if you
Instagram.
are a SaaS founder and you want to unlock growth for your product, then definitely reach out to Jean Michel because he's one of the best marketer I know so far. So don't hesitate.
Thank you.
All
Thank you
right,
so
Jean
much.
Michel. Thanks again, and see
Thank
you
you.
later. Bye.
Ciao.